The sound didn't even hurt at first. It was the silence after that did it. Champagne was still dripping off my hand when she hit me. A sharp crack. Not loud, just enough to cut through the music and the clinking glasses. For a second, I honestly thought it wasn't real, like maybe I'd imagined it. Then my cheek started burning. "Are you blind?" Delaney screamed. 200 people turned at once. You could actually hear forks scraping against plates. That's what I remember. That stupid metal sound. The champagne had spilled on her custom gown. Silk. Imported. Something ridiculous that cost more than most people's rent. A drunk guest had stumbled into me. I'd tried to steady the tray. It tipped anyway. I swear I didn't even see her coming. She looked at the stain, then at me, and her hand just moved. "Are you blind? You ruin everything." She didn't say it quietly. She wanted the room to hear. My mother rushed over, not to me, to the dress. "Oh my God, Delaney. Let me see. Is it ruined?" She was patting at the fabric like that was the emergency. My father stepped closer. Low voice, tight smile. "Avery, don't make this worse." Like I'd done something dramatic. Like I hadn't just been slapped at my sister's wedding. Someone behind me whispered, "Isn't she the one who paid for this place I pretended not to hear it?" Delaney leaned in again, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Something sharp and sweet. "Maybe go help the staff. That's more your speed." That one landed harder than the slap. I stood there for a second too long. I could feel the heat in my face. I didn't cry. Not because I'm strong. Honestly, I think I was just stunned. I'm Avery Collins Mercer. I am 32 years old, and I paid for the estate where my sister just called me the help. The first dance started without me. I walked past the floral arch, past the caterers, down the steps. The snow on the driveway crunched under my heels. No one followed. I didn't slam the car door. I didn't text anyone. I just sat there with my hands on the steering wheel, cheeks still stinging. Then I started the engine and drove down Red Mountain like something inside me had finally snapped clean. I didn't cry on the drive down. I thought I would. I always thought I would, if it ever came to this. But I just kept replaying her voice. "Are you blind?" The road curved hard and I almost missed a turn. I swear I wasn't even thinking about the slap anymore. I was thinking about 5 years ago, about my father sitting at my kitchen table with both hands over his face. "It's temporary," he'd said back then. The market crashed. "I just need breathing room." How much I asked him. $2 million would stabilize everything. I should have laughed. Instead, I said, "I'll handle it." I handled it. I bought the estate in Aspen under my own company. $8.7 million. Quietly. No announcement. I let them move back in like it was still theirs. Delaney was posting engagement photos that same week. "The wedding has to be here," she said. "It's the only place that feels right. Technically, it's mine," I said once, half joking. She smiled. "Don't be dramatic." Tonight she slapped me in the foyer of the house I legally own. The steering wheel felt cold under my palms. I pulled into a gas station halfway down the mountain, just sat there with the engine running. You ever realize you've been funding your own humiliation 5 years ago? My father sat across from me in my condo kitchen and wouldn't look up. "It's not what it looks like," he said. "It looks like foreclosure," I told him. He flinched at that. He always hated blunt words. The development stalled. Investors pulled out. "It's temporary." "How temporary?" He rubbed his forehead. "If the bank calls the loan, we lose everything." Define everything. The Aspen house. There it was. Not the business. Not his pride. The house. My mother called me later that night. "Your father built that life. You can't let him lose it over a bad year." How much I asked. $2 million buys time, she said. 3 would make it safe. I didn't sleep. I opened spreadsheets. I moved assets. I called my attorney the next morning. I want to purchase the property outright, I said, through Mercer Strategic Holdings. You're aware it will be public record, he replied. Then structure it quietly. $8.7 million later. The deed carried my company's name. I let them stay under a zero rent occupancy agreement. I added one clause. Conduct that damages the investor's reputation voids the agreement. I thought it was symbolic. Honestly, I didn't think I'd ever use it. Delaney cornered me months later with champagne and a smile. I have an idea. A boutique line. Aspen, Denver, Scottsdale. How much capital I asked? $4 million to start. It'll scale. It won't be a gift. I told her. It's structured. She rolled her eyes. You and your contracts. I wired $4.2 million as secured investment. Repayment terms, oversight rights, audit access. They called me generous. They called me loyal. Tonight, she called me blind. You ever sign paperwork thinking it's just protection? Not prophecy. I didn't go home first. I went to the office. The hallway lights were still on. Cleaning crew somewhere down the hall. Smelled like lemon disinfectant. I walked straight into my private office and shut the door. There's a painting on the north wall. Abstract, red streak across gray. I pushed it aside. The safe keypad lit up blue. I swear my hands weren't shaking. That surprised me. The code still worked. Of course it did. Inside the deed, Mercer Strategic Holdings listed as sole owner of 14 Red Mountain Ridge. Zero rent occupancy agreement. Signed by Thomas Mercer, Patricia Mercer. Dated 5 years ago. I flipped to the clause I added myself. Any conduct materially damaging to the investor's reputation constitutes breach. Delaney's voice echoed in my head. Are you blind? I pulled the investment binder next. $4.2 million. Secured interest. Acceleration upon reputational harm. I picked up my phone. Nathaniel. I said when he answered. I need you. Is this about the wedding? He asked. Yes. Pause. Tell me what happened. She slapped me. 200 witnesses. Public humiliation. Silence on his end. Then, that qualifies. Activate breach protocol. I said. You're certain I've never been more certain. We'll issue notice of material breach first thing in the morning. Loan acceleration. 30-day termination of occupancy. Do it by the book, I said. No shortcuts. I don't take shortcuts, he replied. I hung up and stared at the documents spread across my desk. For 5 years, I protected them. Tonight, I protected myself. You ever realize the paperwork always knew how this would end? I didn't call Delaney the next morning. Nathaniel did. By noon, the notice had been delivered to the estate. Formal, certified, clean. At 3 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. Delaney? I let it ring twice before answering. What did you do? She snapped. I enforced a contract. My card was declined at the airport. That's between you and the bank. Don't play games. Avery. My accounts are under review because I initiated a forensic audit. Silence. Then, lower. You're insane. You slapped your primary investor in front of 200 guests. It was an accident. The champagne was. Her breathing shifted. I could hear airport announcements in the background, a baby crying somewhere near her. You're trying to ruin my honeymoon. I'm trying to protect my capital. You can't just freeze everything. I didn't freeze everything. I accelerated repayment. She let out a harsh laugh. $4 million doesn't just appear overnight. It wasn't supposed to disappear either. The line went quiet for a second. You wouldn't actually kick Mom and Dad out, she said. Softer now. 30 days. I replied, that's what the agreement says. You're heartless. No. I said, I'm done being useful. I ended the call first. You ever hear someone realize you're not their safety net anymore? Sloane didn't sit right away when she came in. That's how I knew this wasn't just overspending. She set the binder down carefully this time. Not dramatic, almost respectful. I delayed bringing this to you. She said. My eyes lifted. Why, because the first irregularities showed up 18 months ago. Small amounts. I flagged them, and my voice sounded steady. I don't know how. You told me Delaney was scaling fast. You said give her room. I closed my eyes for half a second. I remember that meeting. I remember saying, she's my sister. Don't suffocate her with compliance. So this is on me too, I said. Sloane didn't argue. She opened the binder. $1.6 million over 3 years. Structured withdrawals. Not reckless. Planned. Through vendors. Fabricated vendors. Shell entities. Manual approval overrides. By Delaney. By Delaney and... She turned the page. There it was. My mother's signature. Clear. Repeated. Not accidental. She had emergency authority. I said. It sounded weak even to me. Sloane nodded once. We traced the withdrawals to private gaming rooms in Las Vegas. High-limit tables. Luxury stays. My stomach dropped in a slow, heavy way. She doesn't even like casinos. She likes keeping Delaney afloat. That hit harder than the numbers. She could have called me. I said. She didn't want you to say no. I stared at the dates. Most approvals were within 24 hours of liquidity shortfalls. She knew the books. I whispered. She knew exactly how close Delaney was to default. And instead of telling me she patched the hole, with my money, I leaned back. The room felt too quiet. What are my options, I asked. Civil recovery is solid. Criminal referral is possible. Against both. I looked at that looping signature again. The same handwriting that signed my school permission slips. Schedule the meeting, I said. Sloane hesitated. You're sure no, I said honestly, but I'm done pretending I don't see it. They didn't call. They just walked in like they still owned something here. My assistant's voice was tight over the intercom. Your parents are here. And Delaney? Let them in. Nathaniel sat beside me, recorder visible on the table. I didn't hide it. Delaney entered first. No makeup softness now. Just anger. What are you trying to prove? Sit down, I said. Thomas stayed standing. You've humiliated us. I didn't take $1.6 million. I replied. Patricia looked smaller than I expected. We don't need an audience for this. Nathaniel spoke evenly. This is a documented meeting. Delaney pointed at the recorder. You're recording your own family. I'm protecting my company. I said. I clicked the screen on. Dates, transfers, vendor names that didn't exist. Explain this. Expansion costs. Delaney shot back. Private gaming tables in Las Vegas are not expansion. Her jaw tightened. You don't understand how pressure works. I understand balance sheets. Thomas finally looked at Patricia. What is she talking about? I advanced to the approval signatures. My mother's name repeated. You had emergency authority. I said to her. Her voice shook. She was about to default. I couldn't let her collapse in front of everyone. So you let her steal instead. It wasn't stealing, Delaney snapped. It was borrowing, with fabricated invoices. Silence. Thomas sank into the chair. You would really press charges if I do, I said quietly. It's because I ignored red flags before. I won't do that again. Patricia reached across the table. Avery, we protected this family for years. No, I said. You protected the image. Nathaniel closed the folder. 30 days to vacate. Repayment terms to be negotiated. Thomas stared at me like he was seeing a stranger. Sometimes growing up isn't loud. Sometimes it's just refusing to look away. The first week, my mother called every night around 9. Same time she used to call about Sunday dinner. We can fix this, she said. Families survive worse. Send a repayment plan. I told her. In writing. Thomas tried logic. You're reacting to emotion. I'm reacting to numbers. By the second week, Delaney's voice had changed. Not angry, just thinner. If this goes public, I'm finished, she said. You weren't thinking about that in Las Vegas. We can liquidate 2 stores. She offered Denver and Scottsdale. It won't cover everything, but it's a start. Then start. Week 3. They stopped calling. The silence was heavier than the arguments. Nathaniel checked in. No injunction filed. No formal contest. They don't want discovery. I said. On day 29, my father left a voicemail. You're forcing your mother to box up her life. I called back. You signed the occupancy agreement. I said. I never believed you'd enforce it. I never believed I'd have to. On day 30, the sheriff confirmed execution of the writ. Delaney texted once. Are you really going through with this? Yes. Deadlines don't argue. They just arrive. I told myself I wouldn't go, that I didn't need to watch the ending. I went anyway. The sheriff's vehicle sat by the entrance, engine running. 2 deputies stood a few feet away. Quiet, professional, no tension, just process. My parents were already outside the gates, 2 suitcases, a storage bin with old photo albums sticking out the top. My mother was holding a winter coat over her arm like she wasn't sure where to put it. Thomas saw me first. He walked toward the car slowly, not angry this time, just tired. Avery, he said. This house was supposed to stay in the family. It did. I answered. He placed his hand on the hood. You could have handled this differently. How we could have worked something out. You had 3 years to work something out. Patricia stepped closer. Her voice was soft. I signed those approvals because she was drowning. I thought I was buying her time. With my money. She was your sister, she whispered, and I was your daughter. I said, when did that stop mattering? Thomas exhaled slowly. You've always been stronger than the rest of us. That's not strength. I replied, that's being the only adult in the room. The sheriff approached. We need the driveway cleared. Patricia picked up the storage bin. It looked heavier than it was. Thomas looked at the house one last time. I hope this makes you feel secure. It makes me feel honest. I said. They walked toward the curb. The gates closed without drama. Just metal meeting metal. Some endings don't shout, they click. 3 months later, the house closed. $8.9 million. Wires cleared. Files archived. I signed the final document alone. Delaney agreed to a structured repayment plan. No criminal charges, contingent on compliance. Nathaniel called it pragmatic. I called it enough. My mother's letter is still in my desk drawer. Just 1 line under her name, I miss my daughter. No defense, no explanation. My father left a voicemail last week. The rental's small, but your mother planted herbs on the balcony. He paused before hanging up. Like he almost said more. Sloane asked me once, do you sleep better? Some nights, I said. Some nights I replay the gate. I didn't build the new venture fund to prove anything. I built it because I finally understand something. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're clarity. If you're older and still carrying everyone else's weight, ask yourself when it became your job. If you're the child who always fixes things, ask when you stopped being allowed to feel, I didn't win. Not really. I just stopped pretending love means unlimited access. That's the difference.